Hello and welcome to Nativ Talk. The name is Mary Kalu, and today, right here in the studio, we have Mary Kalu. She's a lawyer, she's a wife, and a mother. I know this lady engages in her community. She's one of the Nigerian community leaders, and today we call her to come to the biggest platform in the whole wide world to inspire. As I said, you can only meet these high-profile professionals on the biggest platform in the whole wide world, Nativ TV. But before we go ahead, or before we invite Mary to come, I would like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Christ Embassy Church. They provided this place for us to shoot all the videos. We are so grateful. And also Nakins. They are well known for their beautiful, colorful, affordable kaftans. I'm so excited to let you know that they are now on Facebook. So search for their name, Nakins brand. It's the Nakins brand actually. The Nakins is spelled Naykons. Search for them and get some beautiful stuff. Just browse and see what they have. Let's sit with Mary Kalu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Chi. What is the project Chi? What does it mean?
Oh, okay.
I saw this on Facebook and I thought something is coming up and you want to give us a clue. So I said, just ask and just so you can explain what that means. What does that mean? The project Chi.
I guess I'm a project in myself, as it is.
Okay.
Nothing special. It's just a funny, I guess, idea that came to my mind, and sometimes you just want to have a different name.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I'm a work in progress, I guess. I'm a project.
All right, Mary. This was just by the way, and we know you are a lawyer.
Yes, I'm a family lawyer.
You're a family lawyer. What are your specialties and how did you get there?
Okay. Well, family law is a very broad area, but specifically I help families or people who may have separated and no longer in a relationship to make arrangements for their children, arrangements that will be in the best interest of their children. So they're called parenting matters, and also helping victims of domestic violence.
Were you a lawyer back?
Yes, I was. I was qualified as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. I did my law degree in Nigeria initially, and was also admitted or called to the bar, like we call it, as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
Okay, so what's the difference between the barrister and a solicitor?
Okay, well, basically here it's not fused like in Nigeria. Like I said, you would be called, when you qualify and do all that you need to do in Nigeria, a barrister and solicitor. A barrister, in Australian sense, they do a lot more of the litigation, unlike the solicitors. But they are both lawyers. In Australia, it's not a fused profession, so you can qualify as a solicitor and then take further steps to be a barrister.
Okay.
Yeah, but the barristers do a lot more of the litigation when cases go to trial than the solicitors.
Oh, okay. What I just want you to tell us what was your transition like? You were a lawyer back home in Nigeria, and then you came to Australia, and now you're a lawyer here. Can you discuss your transition? I mean, being a lawyer back home and in Australia.
Well, you qualify, and this is in Nigeria. You go get the degree, the LLB, and then you go through law school, and then you get called to the bar in the term that we use back there in Nigeria. So basically I did all of that and I was called to the bar, and I worked for about a couple of years, really, not about, actually I can't remember now, maybe 2-3 years, and then before we relocated to Australia. Now, the process here is such, it's not a very easy one because as you're aware, some qualifications from overseas might not be recognized immediately. However, what I did was just get more information about what to do to be able to practice as a lawyer in Queensland, where I am based. So the information that I obtained was that I had to have my qualifications assessed, as in my Nigerian law degree assessed.
Okay, so you didn't go back to the university?
I did.
Okay.
Well, the assessment is done first and then they tell you what to do. Okay. So when it's assessed by the Legal Practitioners Admissions Board, then they will basically give you an outline of the steps to take if you want to be able to be admitted, and so you can get a practicing certificate and practice in Australia or in Queensland specifically. So the information they gave me, for example, was that I had to do certain law units in a university here. Okay. And then when you complete that and you're successful, or you, as in completed passing the units, then you proceed to what they call the legal practice course. Okay. Or practical legal training. So when you finish the legal practice course, then you obviously, there's a practical aspect to it, as the name indicates, of course, where after some period of study, you have to spend some time in a law firm and gather, I guess, some practical skills. When you finish that, and if you do that successfully, then you start the process of applying to be admitted as a solicitor in Queensland. So in a nutshell, I did some undergraduate studies, and then I did the legal practice course, and then I applied for a practicing certificate.
Just a quick one. How many years do you have to do that?
It depends. Okay. It depends on, I guess, the number of units you have to do, the undergraduate units you have to do. After your assessment, like I said, your qualifications are assessed, and then they tell you what law you need to do before you even do the legal practice component of it. So if you have, I guess, 10 units or 12 units or 15 units to do, as against someone who may be assessed to have 5 units to do, then that means if, for example, you have more units to do, then you might spend more time. So it depends on so many factors. You might want to do that or be able to do that within a year, or you might have to do that within a couple of years, 2-3 years, depending on when the units are available, and depending on, I guess, when you can afford to do it as well, because you have to pay for all of this as an international student unless you're already a permanent resident. So I guess it depends on when you're able to finish this, but it's not like you carry on doing it forever, but it depends on the particular person and the number of units you are required to do. So that would determine the time. Okay. Now, after that, the legal practice course, that would be about 10-11 months. Okay. That one is a one-off program that you do after you finish the undergraduate law units. So it depends.
Okay. Let me take you right back. You were talking about when you came here, you needed to be assessed for you to become a lawyer, or for you to go to the university to do some unit. What were they looking for? If you said they assessed you, what were they looking for? What were they looking at?
Okay, so again, I contacted the Legal Practitioners Admissions Board, and they required me to provide my documents that, that's evidence of my law degree that was obtained overseas. Okay. And then I also had to provide my transcripts from my university back in Nigeria. So if I recall, these were the main documents that they really needed, and then they do the assessment. So basically, the thing is, law is something that is, I guess, peculiar to different groups of people. So the legal system here is very different from the legal system in Nigeria. But one thing that helps people who, I guess, are from the Commonwealth is there is some similarities in terms of the kind of laws or the content of the studies and the legal, programs that we do. So and what I mean is, there were subjects that I did in Nigeria that I didn't need to repeat here.
Okay.
But there were those that I did when I was studying for my degree in Nigeria that I still had to do again, because the statutes or the legislation, like they say here, are different. They have the environment, even though it's laws, but the laws show or has something to do with the way of life of people.
Okay.
So they will be different from the local circumstances in Nigeria.
Okay.
So what I'm getting at is that you cannot expect them to know or expect that you will be able to practice or work with their laws here when you have studied or have the knowledge from a very different legal system. So you'd have to do some of those programs so you can learn about the legal system here, you can understand how certain things work, and you'd be able to gain the skills to practice.
Okay, just I'm asking you, this question is just, I think it's very specific. I want to know what you think. You said you came here and you have to go back to the university to do some units.
Yes.
Was that important for you to do that? And if I ask you that, what I mean is, couldn't you have, go to the workforce and work and then learn it on the job, instead of you going back to the university and do all these units again, just to learn how to live with people? To me, I thought it would be, you get a job and then you learn that.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of you going back to uni and do all these units and come back. Was it very important for you to go back to uni and do all this unit? What do you think? What is your take on all this?
Yeah, I understand you. So knowing what I know now, having worked here for some time, I don't think it would have been enough, or will I say appropriate, to come in and immediately start working or have the skills to just work according to the way they practice here.
Yeah.
Because you do need that knowledge base, I guess. You do need to understand some principles and the laws and, I guess, legal authorities. You do need to understand what informs certain laws and how it works in practice, before you can just jump into an office, a law office or a government office to work. So I do think that the fact that they even give that opportunity for you to gain, at least refresh your memory, if I put it that way, before you get into the workforce, is not a bad idea at all.
Okay.
Because even for those who were born here and who did their entire degree here, what you study in school is a whole different story from what happens in the workforce. Okay. Sometimes you learn all the theory and read all the textbooks, and for lawyers, for instance, you have all the cases and their citations and all of that. That is good, that gives you the foundation, but when you get to work, sometimes it's not just about quoting the sections and quoting the authorities. It's actually, how do you solve the problem? How do you identify what the client's legal problem is in the first instance? How do you obtain the information that you need to know whether you can help them? And after doing that, what are the best options for them, so that you can give them practical ways of solving their legal problem? It is a whole different skill set. It is not what you immediately learn from the universities. Okay. But you can't do that without that, that basis, that foundation. So I think it might be setting you one up to fail to just come from a completely different legal system to jump into the workforce or go right into the deep end, because theory is very different from practice.
Oh, okay. Now the question that I think everybody wants to know, to become a lawyer, it's a cool profession. You know, everybody wants to become a lawyer. But I think when the reality sets in, that is when people become very anxious. And if I say that, what I mean is you have to go to university and do 4 years undergraduate, and then, you know, do more studies to become a lawyer. We just want to know, is law very difficult, like what we all perceive? Is it very difficult to become a lawyer, or is it very difficult when you go to university? Is it very difficult for you to study law?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
You know, I think anyone who is able to pass through.
Even the name scare people. You know, she's a lawyer because she's very smart. You know, you have to go to university. Most university courses, you have to do it for only 3 years.
Yeah.
This is 4 years, and you have to do further studies for you to be admitted as a lawyer.
Yeah.
So people want to know, is it very hard or very difficult than, you know, those perception people think is very...
I don't think so. I don't think so. If you're willing to do it, even if you don't get the scores to do it at first,
Okay.
you can always go back to study it.
Thank you very much for being here. We would like you to share this video, and also if you have not liked the page, like the page, and also suggest the page for, you know, your friends to like the page as well. We are on Instagram and we are on YouTube as well. Same name, Nativ TV. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, so you can, you know, watch all the previous interviews on YouTube, and also you can, you know, follow us on Instagram as well. Again, Christ Embassy Church, they provided this place for us to shoot all the videos. We'd like to say a big thank you to them, and also Nakins. They are well known for their beautiful, colorful kaftan. They are the sponsors, and there is more. $10 less when you know, when you contact them with the code number Nativ10. They are going to take $10 off your first purchase. Thank you very much for being here, and we hope you will be on this platform the next time. We will see you again in our next video. My name is Nativ Talk, a FIFA Afro.